Hey, beautiful friends. This is Sarah Blumenfeld with Networking Done Different and Outreach of and Invitation to More.com. I am joined today by my dear friend Tammie Nielsen. She is the Communications Director for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, a nonprofit in our area. And we're going to learn about it and how you can help. Good morning, Tammie.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the history of the bridge and how this got started.
So the Bridge Over Troubled Waters was founded in 1978. So we've been around a few years. We're not new, but we actually started out as a shelter for women coming out of prison.
Oh.
Two families, the Pennies and the Russells, wanted to help women that were coming out to get back on their feet. And so that's how it started. And as time went on, they realized certain things. You don't know what you don't know until you start doing it.
Yeah.
So they realized that the vast majority of women that they were serving had domestic violence in their background. And frequently that was how they ended up in prison.
Yeah.
So they started working with domestic violence. And again, it's that constant learn. So we started in a home that it was just a house that the two families purchased. And we served about 8 to 10 women at any given time. And then, of course, they realized, if there's not a place for the children, then the women cannot get jobs. So was a daycare that they started in a separate home. We went from there to another building that housed, again, 25 to 30 people. They would just squeeze them in, right? It really didn't hold that many, but you do what you have to.
Right.
And then about, I think it was 2011, we moved to our current building, which was built specifically for us. So it was, and we went to 100-bed unit. And at the time, everybody said that was within the agency,
We'll never fill it.
Right. And we don't need this much office space, but we're going to start with it. Well, I now house in a different building off-site because we don't have enough office space on site. And we are always full. So that's sad, right?
Yeah.
It's a sad reality.
Yeah.
But the other thing is building a facility that has more than 100 probably isn't the most effective for those that we serve. So adding numbers would probably not be the best. It would be better to add another facility entirely.
Yeah.
But again, as we've grown, we've learned so much, so we now are a domestic and sexual violence crisis center, and we serve everyone. We started out as a women's, and now we serve men, women. If you've had domestic or sexual violence, we also do help human trafficking victims. So a lot of times they'll come into us, the human trafficking, and then they'll get moved to a specialty facility because they're so specific, right?
Right.
And over the past 10 years being in the new building, we've had daycare. Our daycare is a little bit different. It is both accredited and licensed, which is really hard to get. So we're part of a group called Bright Beginnings, which helps children overcome those traumas to get caught up in intellectual and emotional where they should be. A lot of times those things have kept them from being where they should.
Yeah, in their learning.
In their learning and their emotional ability, how to deal with anger, any of those emotions that you learn as a child to deal with, right? That's when we're supposed to learn them anyway.
Right.
So one of the things in the past 10 years that we have really realized is that helping those that have received that have experienced domestic and sexual violence is important, but we can't stop it if we don't start with the children. So to break the generational cycle of violence, it has to start with the children, right?
Mm.
Children, teens. So we have just opened a brand new facility called the Bridge for Kids. It's on our Bridge campus, so it's next door, that houses all our services for children and youth up to 18. So
Okay.
newborn to 18. It houses everything from group therapy to daycare. And we have rooms, sensory rooms, and those change depending on what the current children and youth actually need. So
Okay.
it could be, there's one right now that's a music room
Mm-hmm.
that will probably stay for a while because it's something that the teens and children ask for repeatedly.
Yeah.
But so some children need to be able to go in and get out their frustration. So
Mhm.
rooms that have a safe environment for them to do that in.
Yeah.
Others is they need comfort. So that might be a room that has soft lights and weighted blankets, right? And
Mm-hmm.
others that are for fidgeting, so that they go in and there's things that they can do with their hands to get out the nervous energy. So there's a
Oh,
whole
wow.
bunch of different sensory rooms. There's an art room, right? To go
Uh-huh.
in and express. That we are a very unique facility like this. You're not going to find another one like it. And we can serve just over 200 children and youth a day.
So are these children of the adults that are in the center, or are they not related?
Yes, they are related. So,
Okay.
but they don't have to be. The one thing that a lot of people think is that we only have the crisis center emergency shelter, but we actually have more clients, more people that we serve that
Mhm.
are not in shelter. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So maybe they don't need a place to live,
Right.
but they still need services, right?
Okay.
Or we've gotten them into long-term housing, right? So we have a whole section of just housing department that we
Oh,
help
wow.
get in their own housing. And then again, they're getting services.
Yeah.
We also have Destiny Village, which is also right next door. So again, that's why I call it the Bridge Campus. And it
Mhm.
is an apartment complex for
Oh,
women this one is just for women. It is for women that have domestic violence. They have a documented disability and children.
okay.
So, and they can stay there until the children are out of school, and that includes college. So we do a lot
Wow.
more.
I had no idea it was so
Yeah,
comprehensive.
yeah,
Wow.
it is very comprehensive. One of there are a couple of things that people also don't realize we do is we do hospital accompaniments. So we have partnered with several hospitals locally, even LBJ. And when they have someone that comes in with domestic or sexual violence, they call us and an advocate will go to the hospital to spend time with that um, person that has experienced it.
Okay.
We call them survivors. Most people call them victims. They're a victim if
Mm.
they're not living. They're survivors if they so that's why I keep talking about the people that we serve.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and the job of the advocate going to the hospital isn't to get them into shelter or services. It's to help them get through the process because they've already gone through trauma. And the
Mm.
nurse's job isn't to help them through that trauma. The nurse's job is to do the medical needs, right?
Right. Right.
And so we are there to talk them through that process, right? To
Mhm.
offer services. They don't have to take them, and we
Right.
stay there with them. They may come into shelter, they may not. They may need outside services, they may not. It's what their needs are. So
Mhm.
we take clothing for them
Mm.
because that clothing um, may be taken away as now evidence, right? And
Yeah.
otherwise
That
they'd
would
be
be
going
good.
home in a hospital.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of important. And we also take, if there's children, we'll take books or coloring books, those kind of things for the children to be occupied with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. And one of the things that I really am excited about, we started just as COVID, just before COVID, so there was a layover, but it's, so we've been doing it a few years, but it's called Domestic Violence High Risk Team.
Domestic violence, high
High
risk.
risk, high risk.
Okay.
So, and it is in partnership with the Bridge, Pasadena PD Police Department, the DA's office, and the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council.
Okay.
So when the police go out to the scene of a domestic violence, they do an assessment, a lethality assessment. If they score a certain number or above, which is a 7, they
Mhm.
will call us out. Now, even if they don't score it, the police have the right to override it if they think it's important enough.
Mhm.
And then they call us out to the scene. We go to the scene, right?
Mhm.
Help with whatever's needed. But then those agencies that I just named, they meet weekly via Zoom now, but
Mhm.
weekly, and discuss all these cases.
Oh.
And the idea isn't for justice, even though there's some criminal justice partners in that.
Mhm.
It's how do we keep them safe?
Mm.
How do we keep them from becoming a statistic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, because everybody sees it from a different viewpoint, right?
Mhm.
And they're handling a different piece of it,
Yeah.
it's easier to put the whole picture together. So that's really exciting.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we do. There's probably a few things that I've left out that, but there's a lot.
That's a lot. It's amazing. How do, besides the ways that you mentioned, where you actually go to the person who probably doesn't even know you exist, right? How else do people find you?
So sometimes we are referred by the police departments, several, Pasadena, Deer Park, LaPorte, all Baytown, Houston, Sheriff's Department, Constable's Office. We're also, people find us on the website, on, searching just for, domestic violence, shelter,
Okay.
family abuse, and then word of mouth. A lot of
Mhm.
times we get referrals from churches and friends and someone that has volunteered here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting where you would think people that would know frequently don't know about us. And we've, like I've said, we've been around for 45 years.
Mhm.
You would think everybody in the community would know, but there's still people that don't.
Sure. I mean, it's if
Yeah,
it's not on their radar at all, even that kind of thing goes on.
that's right. That's right.
I say la 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 la.
That's exactly right. So for years, it wasn't something you talked about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A matter of fact, the first 2 shelters we had, they were hidden. They were secret locations. Nobody knew about them. The police did. If a man showed up, they would not get through the door. When
Mm.
we built the new location that we're at now, a lot of security was put in, a lot. There's cameras everywhere, door locked, but it has a big sign on the building.
Mm.
Everybody knows where we're at. And we
Mhm.
invite people to come tour because the decision was made that you've heard the term, don't air your dirty laundry.
Mhm.
So it comes from back, you know, generation ago when women stayed at home, right? And they hung their clothes up on the clothesline out back.
Right.
That frequently was the only time a woman would talk to another adult during the day because she's home taking care of kids,
Yeah.
and they would chat. And it was, don't talk about what's going on in your house that's bad,
Mm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so you can't address something if nobody ever talks about it. And so
Sure.
the decision was made that we were going to be public. We were going to talk about it. We were going to bring it to the forefront.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that also changed when we moved to the new building.
Yeah. Well, and when stuff is kept in secret, first of all, you think you're the only one going through it. And
Right.
so that adds a level of despair. And then it creates an additional wrongness that you can't talk about it, that it has to be kept secret.
And somehow you end up blaming yourself, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So it's really important, I think, that we moved that direction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When I was looking at your website this morning, I noticed a button I have never seen on a website that said escape
Mhm.
website. Tell us about that. I thought it was fascinating.
So the when someone that is going through domestic violence gets on the internet, starts searching, and they may be doing it on their phone or a desktop or laptop, something. But if their abuser walks into the room, they need to be able to get off of that quickly. And
Mhm.
so on every page, there's an escape button that you just click on and it takes them to the weather. And they can just say,
Yeah.
oh, I was looking for the weather, right?
Yeah.
So it is a very important button. It may be the most important button that we have.
Yeah, I thought it was just brilliant.
Yeah,
I clicked on it and it's like right in the middle of the page. It's easy to see. You can't miss it, and it just can give a person a feeling of more security to know that they can get off that site in half a second.
right. And
Yeah.
so we also have a 24-hour hotline,
Okay.
24/7. But a few years ago, we added a 24-hour chat line to our
Oh,
website. So in the bottom right-hand corner, again, calling someone and your abuser standing there or
yeah.
in the house, but, oh, I'm texting my friend Susie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can have that conversation. So
That's great.
that has been very effective for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea what percentage of people like reach out in that way and then come for services versus don't?
I
Like
don't have
percentage?
those off the top of my
Okay.
head.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't have those off the top of my head. I know we've got them,
Yeah.
statistics, but
Well, I'm sure just the part of there's somebody out there I can reach out to, whether I
right,
go utilize the services, the other services, besides that
right,
connection, uh, just that starting place of I'm not alone.
right,
Somebody is there that cares and that can give me some guidance in a next step I might wish to take.
right.
Hmm. Hmm.
So one of the other things that I didn't mention that we do offer that I think is really important for people to know is we have a prevention and education team.
Okay.
So part of what they do is they go to junior high and high schools
Hmm.
and they teach about um, what a healthy relationship looks like. But they also go to businesses and corporations and plants and talk about it as well and
Okay.
offer resources. Because the number of hours lost to working hours every year are in the millions just in the
Mm.
US.
Yeah.
So it's important that business owners and industry leaders realize that they need to take the blinders off and
Hmm.
have resources for their employees so that they can function and be safe and they'll get better workers out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what kind of help do you get from the community? How are you funded and volunteers and so on?
So we are um, grant funded, and as well as publicly funded, right?
Okay.
So we get grants from government. We get grants from we're a United Way agency, so we get some United Way funds. It's not as big as most people would think. Being a United Way agency, they're not even half of our budget.
Oh, okay.
Um, we have grants from foundations. Um, we and then we get a large amount from individual donors.
Hmm.
This past year, I will say that individual donations, not just for us, but across the country, was down about 36% from the previous year, which was very interesting. That's a huge drop in 1 year.
Yeah. Huh.
So
What do you think
we,
that's about?
I think it's the economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the economy. People are, when they're not sure of the future, they hold on to more of what they have, right?
Sure.
And the cost of living has gone up dramatically. And
Hmm.
so what, your groceries probably, they say about 9 or 10%, but that's not my reality. My reality for groceries is much higher than that. You know,
Right.
so I'm thinking most people are the same way.
Yeah,
But I think it's just economy and fear of the future.
sure. And I noticed on your website you have many ways that people can get involved, volunteer, donate, etc. And one of those is you have a wish list on Amazon.
We do. We have a wish list on Amazon. And one of the things when people buy off of that, it keeps us from using those unrestricted funds that people donate to buy those things, right?
Mhm.
So that's very helpful. And that's always being updated. You know, it's really, so if you like to shop, that's what we tell. If you like to shop, if you're an Amazon person, use our Amazon list.
Right.
So that's really a good way to help give. And then we have a couple of events a year. So we got a brunch coming up in
Okay.
April. It's on our website. You can go and at the top menu, just click on brunch and you'll get all the details. It's going to be on a Saturday. It's Queen of Hearts. And it's really the kickoff to our gala that's in the fall in October. And the gala, it's honoring survivors this year. It's going to be an extremely good event. It's something you're not going to want to miss. We've got a great speaker. It's Elizabeth Smart. I don't know if you remember who she is.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think
But
it
tell
would.
our listeners who she is.
So Elizabeth Smart, when she was a young girl, lived in California and was abducted. And she's going to tell her story of what she went through and how she survived it and how she came back
Mm.
from that trauma.
Mhm. Mhm. And you mentioned before we got on the show here that you have something coming up in February that's a free event.
February 13th, put this on your calendar. You can find it on our website and register. Doesn't cost anything, but we want you to come visit. It is going to be the grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Bridge for Kids. We're going
Oh,
to have tours of the facility so you can see what I'm talking about and the uniqueness of it.
yeah.
Um, we are going to have one of our teens is going to be talking that night, telling what it means to them. It's really going to be a good event. I wish everybody would come. There's a QR code, or you can just click on the link on the website and just register. Like I said, free event. We want to see you there.
Yeah. Tell us the website address, and also you mentioned a 24-hour hotline, if you could give that number.
Sure. The Bridge for Kids, the Bridge website is tbotw.org. So it's the initials of the Bridge Over Troubled Waters.org.
Mhm.
And the hotline is 713-473-2801.
Okay.
And again, if you can use the chat line, the emergency chat line, 24/7, bottom right-hand corner of the website.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the website's really awesome. It's got a lot of information on it.
Thank you. We appreciate hearing that.
Yeah.
We have a blog on it that is where we keep our upcoming events, but we also do some education pieces. So go see what you don't know, what you might can learn.
And is there a way on the website for people to like sign up to get emails about what's going on,
Yep.
or? Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
On the top menu, it says stay in touch. Click on it.
Okay.
We send 1 to 2 emails a month. I never send 2 unless it's an emergency, and that hasn't happened in quite a while.
Mhm.
Um, so you can sign up to stay in touch. You can also, if you would like to volunteer, you go to get involved. And then there is a link at the top right side that says volunteers. Click on it. You can fill out a form as an individual or a group, and Jessica Pineta, who is our volunteer manager, will get in touch with you. And we have all kinds of stuff, everything from working at some of our races to serving meals to helping just in admin. You know, some people just they're really good at admin things, and we need
Mhm.
help there. So if you like doing it, we've got a place for it.
You said races, help at races.
So running Alliance Sports, I always have to stop and think about it because I always want to say it backwards. It's running Sports Alliance. All right,
Okay.
running Alliance Sports. RAS. They do what they call the Bridge Race Series, and the money benefits the bridge. And they have given us a lot of money over the years.
Mhm.
And there's 3 races in the series. The toughest 10K in Kemah, so it goes over the Kemah bridge race. The toughest 10K in Galveston goes over the causeway. And then the
Bridges, it's going over
bridges,
bridges.
it's going over bridges. That's right, the bridge races. And then the other one is the half marathon that goes over the Fred Hartman Bridge.
Oh,
Starts in
wow.
LaPorte. Starts in
Oh,
LaPorte,
wow.
goes over, comes back. Each one of them, it's a round trip. It's not a one way. So
Uh-huh.
these are some tough races. They have been just great supporters of us for a long time. And we just appreciate them. We help supply volunteers for those races, and
Mhm. Mhm.
they help keep us funded.
That's amazing. I love the Fred Hartman Bridge. I think it's so beautiful.
So I am not a runner, but I keep saying I am going to go sign up just so I can walk over the bridges, because most of them you're not
Yeah.
allowed to walk over.
Right, right.
And so my only opportunity to walk over them is going to be go sign up for these races. How I'm going to get back, I don't know. Have someone at the other end to drive you back,
Right.
I guess.
Oh my goodness. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our friends?
No, we would love to have you come volunteer. The one thing that I do love to do, that probably my favorite thing about my job, is I like to give tours.
Okay.
So if you want a tour, um, I'll ask Sarah to give my email address when she posts this.
Okay.
It's tnielsen@tbotw.org.
Okay.
Email me, put it in the subject line, tour request. It can be a one person or it can be a group of people. Maybe you have a sorority or a business networking group that you would like to come see what we do firsthand. And I love giving tours, because until you're there and you see what we do,
Yeah.
it's I was on the
It's a
board.
concept.
Yeah, I was on the bridge board for 5 years before I came to work here. I left the board. I had been gone for a while when they asked me to come. They called and asked me to come work here, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. Even being on the board and learning it from, you see it from different aspects. So
Mhm.
as a volunteer, I saw it one way. As a board member, I saw it one way. As someone that's working in it, see it a different. So there's always something to learn.
Mhm.
Don't think you know it all, because you'll see something new every time.
Yeah, and it just keeps growing and expanding as well. It's like
It,
adding this
yeah,
this children's part of
yeah.
it. Yeah,
I tell you, it's
that's
the most
exciting.
exciting thing that we have done in my opinion, in years. I think we are going to see some great things come out of that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Tammie, so much for sharing this information.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me, and it was good talking to you again.
Yeah. Thank you, friends, for listening. I always appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you will check out this amazing organization if you live in our area. If you don't, you can still donate on their website. So take care, and if I can ever help you with anything, email me at networkingdonedifferent@gmail.com. Bye for now.
Bye.